Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. What if Naruto was lost in fairy tale dimension and had harem with Wendy Marvell? Specale short movie. Jumping from rooftop to rooftop, Itachi Uchiha moved across his home village with a heavy and burdened heart. His mind played through the last hour where he had cut down his friends and family without any remorse and left his brother alone as the sole survivor of their clan. Yet despite Itachi's normal cold and stoic exterior, he found it impossible to completely suppress his emotions. He was shaking and his mind kept questioning why things couldn't have been different. Why did he have to take such a drastic action to protect his village and brother? Why was he so powerless to stop these events from happening? However, a memory suddenly flashing across his mind from a clone he left behind at the scene of the massacre. Itachi momentarily halted his escape and recollected the memories he had received. Learning his clone had made contact with Hiruzen and managed to establish a last-minute meeting with the Hokage in secret to discuss a few things. Though Itachi also saw how his clone had dispelled itself only after threatening Danzo to leave Sasuke alone. I should keep moving and meet with Lord Hokage. I only have so long till the Anbu start mobilizing across the village and I need to warn him about this Toby man. Jumping forward with a burst of speed, Itachi quickly made his way to where the Hokage would be waiting for him. Blazing under the moonlit village with skill and stealth, Itachi's eyes were constantly on a swivel. Considering the longer he was within the village the more dangerous things would become for the Kinslayer. However, taking notice of something off in the distance, Itachi momentarily stiffened up and jumped into cover, as he saw two masked individuals. Believing the Anbu were already scanning the village for him, but upon closer inspection he realized the two individuals with blank masks were something much different. Root? Itachi mumbled softly, as he stalked closer towards the Danzo loyalists, knowing it wasn't common to see these individuals running around the village even at this time of night. Just what do you have up your sleeve? Getting closer and closer to the two conditioned shinobi, Itachi's eyes grew wide in surprise. This was because tucked between the arms of one of the Root operatives was the young blonde Jinchuriki of Konoha, Naruto Uzumaki. A sight that instantly made the genius of the Uchiha clan connect the dots. I see. With the confusion of the massacre, this would be a perfect moment to take Naruto right under Lord Hokage's nose. Itachi mumbled softly, while the devoted Konoha shinobi grabbed a kunai from his side. Unfortunately, I won't allow you to succeed. Moving without making a sound, Itachi displayed exactly why he was an Anbu captain at such a young age by appearing behind one of the Root members and slitting their throat from behind. Then before the individual holding Naruto could react, Itachi threw his bloody kunai into their neck, causing them to fall over dead, but not without Itachi snatching Naruto out of their hold. Yet as Itachi stood over the two slain Root members with Naruto in his arms, he was left with a new predicament. If Danzo is really trying to get his hands on the Kyuubi's power, then it's not safe to leave Naruto alone. Itachi mumbled softly, as he knew even using a clone to take Naruto somewhere safe could be a risk. So the best move would be to take Naruto with me and hand him over to Lord Hokage personally. Knowing time was growing shorter and shorter, Itachi ran off as fast as possible with Naruto in his arms. Hoping no more distractions would throw a wrench in his plans. Luckily enough for the Kinslayer, Itachi eventually made his way to a secluded location where Hiruzen was waiting. Though upon seeing his subordinate holding Naruto of all people, the god of shinobi had a rather confused expression. Itachi, what's the meaning of this? Why do you have Naruto? Sighing and walking forward, Itachi handed Naruto over before kneeling. I was making my way here to meet with you Lord Hokage when I ran into some of Danzo's Root carrying Naruto. I believe he was trying to use the confusion to steal Naruto without anyone noticing so he could indoctrinate Naruto into his ranks. Holding tightly onto the small child, Hiruzen was beyond furious. Yet at the same time he looked down to Itachi with respect and admiration, while a small idea came into his mind. I see, thank you Itachi. Yet again you displayed how irreplaceable you are to this village. I would have never thought Danzo would use this incident to further his own power. He's someone that must always be watched carefully, but I have more information to share if I may. Of course, speak freely. Itachi nodded. The man who helped me tonight was a masked man named Toby. I haven't seen his face, but I know he has the Sharingan. He's dangerous Lord Hokage and has extended an offer for me to join some organization he is a member of. Apparently it's a group of highly dangerous Rouge shinobi. He didn't share much except for their vision of world domination through the control of the tailed beasts. Hiruzen frowned softly at this. I see, this is troubling news. Especially for the safety of young Naruto here. I'll pass word along to Jiraiya. I'm sure he can learn more about this group through his spy network. With all respect, Lord Hokage, I can easily infiltrate this group and leak you information. There is no need to waste Lord Jiraiya's resources to this. Hiruzen closed his eyes and took a moment to think to himself, but after a few moments of silence the Hokage opened his eyes and looked at the small blonde in his arms. Actually, I have one final mission for you. A sulfur monosulfide rank mission that only you can complete. Surprised by his leader's words, Itachi lowered his head further to the ground. What can I do, Lord Hokage? Tell me, Itachi, you're a smart boy. If I were to ask you who Naruto's parents are, what would your guess be? Looking up, Itachi was slightly confused, but regardless he answered honestly. With his features, last name, age and status as the holder of the Kyuubi, the only logical answer would be Lord Minato and his wife Kushina. I also remember Lady Kushina telling my mother she was pregnant near the time before the Kyuubi incident. Hiruzen simply nodded, as Itachi lived up to his title of a genius. I promised myself when they died I would protect their son, but unfortunately it seems I keep failing them time after time. The village hates Naruto, he's always alone and now people have already tried to take him for the power he holds and I fear things will only grow worse with this Toby man. Especially when more people learn he is not only a Jinchuriki, but also Minato's son. So since I am a failure to young Naruto, maybe it's time I place him in the care of my most loyal and dependable shinobi? Itachi was in disbelief at what the man was insinuating. Lord Hokage, I believe you're overestimating my abilities. Without question I will be branded as a wanted man for my actions tonight. There is no plausible way I could properly watch over Naruto with such a large target on both our backs. Lowering himself on one knee to lock eyes with Itachi, Hiruzen merely smiled and drew a circle into the dirt followed by another circle a few feet away. You know, Itachi, what many don't know is that our world isn't the only one out there. Pretend this circle here is our world, while every other circle represents a world completely different. Some are a strange reflection from our own, while others are completely different altogether. Yet do you know what connects these worlds? I don't have the slightest clue, Lord Hokage. Smirking and drawing lines between the circles, Hiruzen chuckled. The different summoning realms are the links that connect all worlds. So tell me, Itachi, if I were to offer you an opportunity at a new life within a new world where you weren't branded a wanted man and kinslayer, would you take it? Itachi thought long and hard over this question, as it would be nice to not always be looking over his shoulder. Yet he had to ask himself if he deserved such a luxury of a new life. His single purpose for leaving Sasuke like he did was so his brother would grow up to bring justice onto him for the crime of killing their clan. Believing death by his own precious brother was the only road fate had in store for him. However, here the Hokage was giving him a second option. Of course you wouldn't be alone, as I would request you take Naruto with you. The boy needs someone in his life that he can call a friend, and you are even skilled enough to train Naruto to protect himself. It's a win-win really, you get a new start and Naruto will be safe with a better life. Itachi, momentarily thinking over the possibility, lifted his brow. And what would you say to Naruto's sudden disappearance? Grinning like a madman, Hiruzen gave the boy a good laugh. Why, that's simple. Naruto was stolen by the power-hungry criminal Itachi Uchiha. Itachi blinked at this, but couldn't deny it was a believable reason with some truth to it. Sending Naruto away like this isn't very Hokage-like. Shouldn't you keep Naruto within the village to foster his growth and loyalty? After all, don't villages like to keep an iron hold on their weapons? The aged man chuckled and shook his head. I've never seen Naruto as a weapon, just a boy dealt a bad hand in life much like yourself. So maybe it's time we reshuffle the deck? Wouldn't you agree? Even if I would say yes, Lord Hokage, I don't deserve a second chance. I may have committed the sin of slaying my clan for the greater good. However, I still need to be held accountable for my actions. I deserve death, not a new life. Hiruzen nodded. You're burdened by what you have done. I understand that, and you can repent for your actions, Itachi, but not by throwing your life away. Then how should I? By living a carefree life. Who said a new life would be easy? The jaded and wise man asked with a slight chuckle. Believe me, Itachi, you won't have it easy, but you'll get a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Not only at a new life, but a chance to redeem yourself for your actions by helping someone else. Someone who needs this just as much if not more than you. The Kinslayer glanced at the blonde within the Hokage's arms and sighed. If I agree to this mission I do have one request. I'll do whatever I can, Itachi. Protect Sasuke for me, was the simple request to which the Hokage nodded to, and keep him out of the reach of Danzo and the council. I'll do everything within my power. Hiruzen began, while revealing a storage seal on his wrist. One that with a quick puff of smoke provided a scroll that the Hokage handed to Itachi. Take this, it's a copy of everything Minato and Kushina left for Naruto. It will help you mold him into a proper shinobi. Tucking the scroll into his pocket, Itachi nodded. I'll do my best, Lord Hokage. Handing the unconscious Naruto over to Itachi, Hiruzen stood to his feet and prepared his chakra. I know you will, but I'll summon Enma and he will take you and Naruto to the monkey realm and then transport you somewhere new. Are you ready? I believe so, Lord Hokage. Then I wish you and Naruto both the best, you deserve it after all. Hiruzen replied as he bit his thumb, flashed through a set of hand signs and slammed his palms into the ground. Summoning Jutsu. Earthland, Fury X 778. Under the shroud of a star-filled night, a plume of smoke suddenly erupted off the side of a cliff, slowly disapparating to reveal Itachi, who was still holding an unconscious Naruto and looking directly at a large humanoid monkey, who was the boss of the monkeys and trusted ally of the Hokage, Enma. Well, here we are. Looking around, Itachi noticed they were on the side of a cliff, while a dense forest surrounded them on all sides. An observation that made the teenager lift his brow, as there wasn't any sign of civilization for miles. And where exactly are we? Enma folded his arms and his tail swayed behind his back. A world called Earthland. It's not like the world you're from, but it's close enough. You'll find plenty of humans who speak your language, but no one here has the ability to use chakra. Instead, this world is built around magic. Well, that's interesting. Anything else in particular I should know? Unfortunately, that's the extent of my knowledge. I've never really traveled to this world, but a few elders in my clan have told me stories. Hiruzen says you're a resourceful boy, so I'm sure you'll make do with what little you're given. Itachi nodded and slightly bowed. I understand and I thank you for getting me this far, Lord Enma. Enma waved his hand and closed his eyes. No need to thank me, child. I was just helping Hiruzen. That old bastard seems to respect you a decent amount. Though here is some advice, kid. Try to enjoy this second chance. Not many get this. I will, Lord Enma. Itachi replied as the summon vanished in a burst of smoke, leaving Itachi alone with the unconscious Jinchuriki he was now responsible for. Best find a place to make camp for the night. Walking off with Naruto, Itachi wandered through the forest until he found a small clearing. Then by laying Naruto against a tree he created two clones, both of whom acted without any instructions needed. One clone silently began to build a fire, while the second surveyed the area for any potential danger, leaving the original Itachi to slowly relax his body against a fallen log, his onyx eyes looking up into the star-filled sky with an exhausted expression, as within the last few hours he had slain his family, been branded a traitor, and was now looking up at an unfamiliar sky for the first time. It all felt a little surreal, yet as Itachi heard the crackling of a fire he looked forward, finding his clone had dispersed upon completing its task. However, as the fire illuminated the small clearing, Itachi could see Naruto slowly stirring awake. An observation that made the raven-haired teenager debate on how he should handle this situation. Naruto himself softly groaned and started to stir awake, his eyes taking a moment to regain their vision, though after a short moment Naruto finally took notice of his surroundings, as blue eyes were met with a soulless black pair. Who are you? Naruto suddenly yelled loudly, while he jerked his head from left to right, and just where the hell are we? Itachi sighed and closed his eyes. You certainly live up to your loudmouth reputation. Clenching his fist, Naruto shook his hand forward. What the hell is that supposed to mean, bastard? Itachi merely censored at his head and looked at Naruto with a blank expression. It means you're loud, if not also a little dense. However, I should at least show proper manners and introduce myself. My name is Itachi Uchiha, former shinobi of Konoha. Wait. You're a shinobi? Itachi merely nodded before his eyes shifted into his Sharingan. Listen, a lot has happened, but it's best if I just show you. What are you? Naruto began, but stopped once Itachi placed him within a genjutsu. From there Naruto saw everything Itachi wanted him to see, which was his kidnapping along with Hiruzen sending Naruto off under Itachi's care. Of course the Uchiha left a few things out like the slaying of his clan, as after all he didn't want Naruto to fear him for things he didn't understand. However, after showing Naruto everything the child needed to see, Itachi dropped the genjutsu. Now, do you have any questions? Holding his head and looking at the ground, Naruto furrowed his brow. So you work for the old man? Well, I did work for Lord Hokage. I'm no longer a Konoha shinobi. Because you were assigned to watch over and train me in this new world? Naruto asked, which caused Itachi to nod. That is correct. Do you have any other questions? Naruto paused for a moment, as his mind was still digesting all the new information he was given. Yet after a brief moment he gazed up to Itachi. Why me? Itachi lifted his brow. What do you mean? Clenching his fists, Naruto gave Itachi a hard look that slightly caught the teen off guard. It wasn't the frightened look of a child out of place, but the confident look of someone mature past their years. Showing the growth Naruto has undergone because of his burden. What makes me so special that the old man put me in hiding so no one could take me again? Understanding now, Itachi thought over his response with care, as he was now responsible for the well-being of Naruto. So as such he needed to choose what to tell the blonde with that goal in mind. Yet with the fate of his clan, Itachi had learned one crucial thing. That being secrets are dangerous, and if he was to watch over Naruto in this new world, then Itachi needed to learn from his past mistakes and do right by the blonde. It's because 7 years ago when Lord Fourth defeated the Kyuubi, he only did so by sealing the demon into a newborn child. That child was you, Naruto. You are the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Naruto's eyes grew wide at this revelation, as everything was starting to make sense. The loneliness, the hateful looks and everything in between was all because Naruto held the demon fox within his body. A realization that made the blonde grit his teeth and look down in frustration and sadness. His right hand slowly tightening around his midsection to help cope with the sickness he was feeling. However, despite this you are still Naruto Uzumaki, and don't forget that. Never believe the lie that you're some monster. Naruto's eyes snapped upward, as he looked directly at the emotionless teen, who had recognized him by his name, something only the Hokage had ever done before. Thank you. Naruto mumbled softly, as Itachi's words meant more to him than the Uchiha knew. But I have another question. Itachi merely nodded his head and closed his eyes. Well, we have nothing besides time, so ask away. Why did the fourth Hokage pick me? Because you are his son. Itachi answered without hesitation, as he decided he wasn't going to hide anything from the blonde. His name was Minato Namikaze and your mother's name was Kushina Uzumaki. I can only assume Lord Third kept your name Uzumaki to conceal you from anyone wanting to harm or take advantage of you. Lord Fourth had plenty of enemies after all. Naruto was once again completely stunned, as he had finally learned who his parents were. He wasn't just some orphan that people ignored. In fact, his father was his own personal hero, and that made things even more unbelievable. I'm sure you're slowly getting overwhelmed with everything you're learning, and I can't say things will get simpler from here. You and I are within an unfamiliar world that neither of us know much about. However, I will promise you this much, Naruto. I will do everything I can to help mold you into a shinobi your parents would be proud of. Naruto smiled at this, as he was starting to really like and admire Itachi. Thanks. I guess I should call you Itachi-sensei then. For the first time in weeks, Itachi cracked a small smirk at the blonde words. Just Itachi is fine. Naruto nodded. Well then, Itachi, what are we going to do now? We will rest here for the night. Tomorrow we will set out and try to find some civilization and try to learn more about this world. Once we have safely adapted to our new setting, I'll begin giving you a proper shinobi's training. Sounds like a fun adventure to me. That's one way of looking at it, Itachi replied in a blank voice. But let's get some sleep. I'm sure tomorrow will be quite the long day. Naruto nodded and tried to find a comfortable spot to sleep, while Itachi merely closed his eyes and kept to his own thoughts. Thinking his new situation was interesting to say the least, but didn't realize how much this new world and Naruto would save Itachi from his own demons. The following day, walking through a densely covered forest, Itachi and Naruto both kept a relatively moderate pace. It wasn't ideal, as Itachi was moving at speeds much slower than he was capable of, but having Naruto tagging along meant the teenager had to match the boy's pace. Either that or carry Naruto as they traveled, which wasn't something Itachi or Naruto were really keen on doing. So Itachi, what do you think we are going to find? Glancing at the small blonde by his side, Itachi merely rested his hands into his pockets. Your guess is as good as mine, Naruto. For all I know, we could be attacked and killed the moment we find civilization. Naruto was slightly sweating, which was a reaction that amused the kinslayer. Or maybe a pack of wild beasts will make us their lunch, Itachi continued, as he watched Naruto's panic grow larger and larger. Of course I should be fine. I'm a trained shinobi and a former Anbu captain, but you on the other hand. Itachi rested a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Well, I'll tell future generations about you. You bastard! Naruto yelled loudly, while he shook his fists around. The old man said you were supposed to keep me safe. Oh, is that so? Itachi asked, while he felt an odd sensation of amusement sweep through his body. As I remember it, Lord Hokage wanted me to train you to be stronger. He didn't tell me to coddle you like an infant, but if I must then I shall. Do you need your diaper changed as well? Grinding his teeth in anger, Naruto glared up at the older boy. Just you wait, Itachi, I'll become a super strong shinobi and you won't be able to look down at me ever. A small smile forming on the corners of his mouth, Itachi merely lifted his brow. You do realize for that to happen I'll have to train you. So who says I'll show you everything I know? Naruto was at a loss for words and his mouth was hanging open. A sight that made the older of the two smirk and poke the younger on the forehead. But I'm teasing, of course. I'll keep you safe and make you a shinobi to surpass your own father. That's a promise. Recoiling backwards and rubbing his forehead, Naruto grinned wide with a pleased expression. Well, in that case, I won't let you down. Nodding his head, Itachi looked forward, his eyes growing slightly interested as he saw what appeared to be some form of civilization in the distance. Naruto himself saw this as well and beamed with excitement. Hey Itachi. Yes, I know. The raven-haired boy cut in, his voice both serious and sharp. Listen as we approach, stay close to me and don't wander off, just in case. Don't worry Itachi, I'll follow your lead. Pleased to hear his young companion would comply with his orders, the duo slowly approached what appeared to be an opening in a circular wall. Yet this wall wasn't anything like the massive walls that surrounded their home village. No, this wall was more primitive and was made from wooden poles dug deep into the ground. Of course, within the walls were dozens of rather old and, by Itachi's observations, run-down tribal houses. However, the most eye-catching location was without a doubt the cat-shaped building in the center of what Itachi assumed was a village. Though as Naruto and Itachi walked further into the village, they weren't greeted or met by anyone in particular. An odd occurrence, as both Naruto and Itachi could see men, women and children all moving throughout the area, while appearing to mind their own individual business. Naruto, being young and naive, didn't really make much notice of this. Itachi on the other hand instantly knew something wasn't exactly right with this village they were in. Since everyone within the village seemed to move almost robotically and without much purpose whatsoever. So, having an inner debate with himself, Itachi pondered on taking Naruto and leaving. Yet before he could voice himself to Naruto, a girl seemed to take notice of them and approach them. Visitors. The girl yelped in a surprised and excited voice. Yet as she made it within a few feet of Naruto and Itachi, she seemed to trip over her own feet and fall flat on her face. Naruto, seeing this, instantly rushed over to the girl's side to help her. Itachi on the other hand merely observed from a distance, preparing himself to strike the girl down if she wasn't what she appeared to be. That, of course, being a relatively harmless girl around Naruto's age with dark blue hair. Hey, are you alright? Naruto asked as he helped the girl up onto her feet. Laughing nervously and pretending she didn't scuff up her knees, the girl nodded. Yup, I'm fine. Thank you though. My name is Wendy Marvell and welcome to Cait Shelter. Grinning ear to ear, Naruto released a laugh of his own. It's nice to meet you, Wendy. My name is Naruto. For a moment the blonde paused, as an idea came into his mind. Namikaze, and that over there is my friend Itachi Uchiha. Wendy beamed with a wide smile. It's wonderful to meet the both of you. What brings you all the way to our guild? We never get any visitors. Are you two here for a mission request, or are you wanting to join Cait Shelter? Itachi, hearing the girl's questions, was trying to piece together how this world functioned, considering he was starting to think there was much more than just a small forest village. Yet before either Naruto or Itachi could speak, a voice beat both boys from another world to the punch. Wendy, who are these people? A small white cat asked, as it slowly walked to Wendy's side. Naruto's jaw was dropped at the sight of a talking cat, while Itachi wondered if it was some sort of summon. "Oh Carla. Look, we have visitors. This is Naruto and Itachi," Wendy introduced as she held her hands excitedly to the two boys. "Whoa, a talking cat," Naruto began as he bent down to look at Carla. "That's crazy." Carla seemed to study the grinning blonde with a careful gaze, while Wendy just watched with a smile. Itachi on the other hand glanced to the side and activated his Sharingan for a mere moment. Then with a quick glance he surveyed the area and came to a quick realization, which was that everyone except for Wendy and Carla were nothing besides illusions. This made Itachi both cautious and curious, while his eyes returned to their normal state. Yet before he could do anything a sound of footsteps reached his trained senses. "Now what is with all this commotion?" A new and cheerful voice laughed out loudly. Seeing yet another newcomer, Itachi snapped his eyes to the small and slim elderly man with a long white beard, complete with a mustache, which extended up on his face's sides, making for a large pair of sideburns. Yet like the people around the area he was dressed in similar tribal clothing. However, unlike the others he seemed to have more personality like Wendy and Carla. "Master Ruble," Wendy chirped happily, while turning to the man. "I was just greeting our guests Naruto and Itachi." "Oh. Well, it's a pleasure to meet the both of you. I'm the master of Cait Shelter, but you can just call me Ruble," the elderly man greeted in a happy voice, while slightly tilting his head. "How can I help you too?" Making sure to keep his guard up and not give too much information up, Itachi merely gave a bow of respect. "We are simply lost travelers from a far-off land. We were hoping to find civilization and learn where we are. Then we found your village, Cait Shelter, I believe." "I see, but this isn't exactly a village. Cait Shelter is a wizard's guild." Naruto squinted his eyes at this. "Wizard guild? What's that, old man?" "Why, a guild is a place for wizards to come together and find work. Surely you've heard of wizard guilds before." Naruto and Itachi both shook their heads, which caused Ruble to rub his chin. Well, it seems you really are from faraway lands then. If you would like I could explain things in more detail in our guild hall." Itachi folded his arms and nodded, as more information would be beneficial. "I would appreciate that, Ruble." The aged man grinned wide and motioned for everyone to follow him. "Well, come this way." The kinslayer simply nodded and walked with the man, but stopped the moment a smiling Wendy ran around the master's side. "Master, can I show Naruto around the guild while you talk with Itachi?" Ruble smiled softly, as he could see how excited the girl was to have another child around her age. "If Naruto has no problem with that, then neither do I." Said blonde beamed with excitement and looked at Itachi for approval, as he knew the older boy wanted to keep him safe and play the situation safe. "That would be awesome. You wouldn't mind, right, Itachi?" Being placed on the spot, Itachi sighed to himself, considering he knew the best choice was to make Naruto stay close to his side. However, both Wendy and Ruble seemed friendly enough and didn't look like much of a threat. However, the deciding factor was what Itachi knew of Naruto's lack of friends. So something like spending time and befriending someone around his age meant more to Naruto than anything. "If you behave yourself and make sure to call for me if you get in trouble, then I have no issues with it." Throwing his hands up in victory, Naruto grinned happily and ran over to Wendy. "Let's go, Wendy." Giggling at the blonde's energy, the two small children ran off with Carla following close, leaving Itachi alone with Ruble, but not before the former Enbu discreetly made a clone to watch over Naruto in the shadows. "Well, I'm sure the children will be fine. Why don't we go talk?" Itachi merely nodded, and soon the two found themselves within the central building of Cait Shelter, which was a rather small and modest area with very little going on. In fact, the whole area looked almost completely unused for years, which was another oddity on Itachi's growing list. Despite this, as Ruble offered Itachi a seat, the young shinobi accepted without saying a word. An action that made the master muster a friendly smile. "So Itachi, what would you like to know?" Studying the elder and friendly man, Itachi simply folded his arms and slightly leaned backwards within his chair. To most it looked like the teenager was getting comfortable, but in reality he was coiling back to strike at a moment's notice. "Any information you have would be appreciated if I'm being honest. Considering I have no knowledge of this land's customs, geography, politics, or even as much as a name. Yet before you get into that, I have a far more serious question." Ruble lifted his brow, as he saw Itachi's gaze piercing into him. A look that slightly made the man feel uneasy around the shinobi. And that is? What is really going on within this place? And don't lie to me, Itachi began, as his Sharingan spun to life in all its glory. Naruto hasn't noticed, but I can easily tell those people outside are all fake. The only exceptions being Wendy and Carla. Running his hand through his beard, Rubol hummed to himself and thought over his words. You're an interesting boy. You're only here for a few minutes and already saw through my illusions, but they were made for a small child. So that should be expected, but there is no need for any concern. I have nothing nefarious planned, as these illusions are for Wendy's well-being. Is that so? Well, I will give you one chance to explain yourself. Because now that I've got a look at you with my Sharingan, I can see you're not exactly normal either. Rubol sighed, as Itachi was poking holes in his facade quite fast, so the man thought the best course from here was the complete truth. Would you believe me if I said I was a 400-year-old spirit? Itachi didn't show any reaction to this, but instead simply closed his eyes. Well, me and Naruto are both from another world. So honestly nothing at this point could surprise me. Hearing Itachi's reply, the master nodded. I see that would explain your predicament and lack of knowledge. Yes, but now tell me why a 400-year-old spirit is making illusions for a small girl in the forest. It's a long story, but all you need to know is that I have dedicated myself to protecting the world from an evil magic within these woods. However, a few years ago a boy left Wendy within my care and I crafted this illusion of a guild for her sake. After all, it was better for a small girl to grow up alongside fake friends than growing up completely alone. Then some time later we found Carla in an egg, and that's basically everything. I see, you've just been trying to help happily raise Wendy. That's good to hear. Itachi began as his eyes opened and his Sharingan was gone. At least now I know I won't have to kill you. Laughing nervously, Rubol gave a slight bow. I appreciate that, but I don't think you can kill someone who is already dead. However, why don't I help you now? I'm sure you have a lot of questions about this world. Yes, let's not waste any more time. With Naruto sitting at a bench with Wendy and Carla, the young blonde was currently chatting up a storm with a wide grin. So you were raised by an actual dragon? Yup, Grandini was also the one who taught me Sky Dragon Slayer magic. That's so cool. Ya no, you must be super strong. Wendy laughed nervously and held her hands up in protest. Well, I only learned healing and support spells, so I'm really not that strong actually. But you still know magic from a dragon. That's almost as cool as being a shinobi. What's a shinobi? Wendy asked, which made Naruto jump upwards in excitement. They are really strong warriors that are all boom pow and swoosh. Naruto yelled happily, as he struck different poses with each sound effect he made. Then with a wide grin he placed his arms behind his head and laughed. Itachi said he would train me to be a really strong shinobi like him. So Itachi is like your teacher? Wendy asked as she wanted to know more about the two boys. Yeah, kinda, but Itachi doesn't like titles like that, so I just call him by his name, Naruto explained with a simple smile. We haven't known each other for long, but our village leader wanted us to travel together and so far it's been a lot of fun. Why are you two traveling together? Is it like a training trip? Naruto chuckled nervously at this question. It's a long story, but the short version is that it's not safe for me back home. So our leader the Hokage sent me and Itachi here for my protection. Apparently Itachi is this really strong shinobi in our village and he was handpicked by the old man despite being so young. Wow, Itachi must be really amazing, but don't you miss your home and family? Wendy asked softly, as a small flicker of pain flashed across Naruto's face. I don't really have a family and no one back home really liked me, Naruto explained sadly, while he quickly faked a smile and pumped his fist out. But that's okay cause now I got a friend like Itachi. Wendy smiled and held her hands out. Well, don't forget about me and Carla. We're your friends now too. Naruto's eyes quickly sparked with newfound life and joy, as no one had ever declared him as their friend before. It was something that Naruto actually always yearned to hear from anyone he met. You really mean it? Wendy nodded without hesitation. Absolutely. Carla merely sighed. It's really not that big of a deal. Naruto grinned ear to ear, as he was beyond happy to have an actual friend his age. Well, I have a question for you, Wendy. Why exactly are you a member of a wizard guild? Well, shortly after Grandini disappeared I was found by a boy named Jelal. We traveled together for a while, kinda like you and Itachi, but he had a dangerous mission and left me here for my safety. I hope one day when I'm stronger I can find Grandini and Jelal again. That's a really great goal, ya know. I always wanted to be the Hokage so people would respect me, but I can't really do that anymore. Hey, maybe when I get stronger I can help you find your friend and dragon. Really? Yeah, I bet it would be a fun adventure, but I don't know how much longer me and Itachi will be here. Hell, I don't even know what our plans are. Wendy lowered her head at this. Hopefully you guys can stay a little while. Actually, we are staying longer than you might think. The voice of Itachi spoke up, as the two children and Cait noticed the teenager making his presence known. What do you mean, Itachi? I've decided while I'm training you it would be best for us to join a guild to have a stable source of income along with a place to live. So we are going to join Cait's shelter. Wendy's eyes beamed with excitement. That's great. What Wendy said, Naruto yelled with just as much enthusiasm, which made Itachi smirk. Well, I wouldn't get too excited, as now that means I can start your training, and trust me, I'll be 10 times harder than the academy ever would have been. Naruto pumped his fists and locked eyes with the older boy. I'm ready for whatever you've got, Itachi. Well then. Why don't we get started and make a proper shinobi out of you? X784, Naruto age 13. Walking forward with a stack of boxes in his arms, Naruto followed Wendy and Carla to the back of a train car. Yet as the trio walked by a group of fairy tale wizards talking amongst themselves, neither Naruto or Wendy noticed the group they passed. Instead, the two young teenagers and talking cat found their way into their own booth, which caused Wendy and Carla to take their seats. Meanwhile, Naruto practically spilled the boxes everywhere as he sat across Wendy and Carla. Now look what you did, Naruto. Wendy scolded in a soft voice, as she saw the blonde roll his eyes. Hey, don't start with me. I told you that you were buying too much, Naruto shot back, while he grabbed a scroll and pen from a small pouch on his hip. Plus I didn't have a chance to make a storage seal yet because we would have missed our train. But now you have plenty of time, Wendy replied back with a happy smile. Naruto huffed and started to make the seal. I swear you only take me places to be your personal pack mule. Oh, that's not true, Naruto. You know I love your company. You're my most precious person along with Carla, the master, and Itachi. Speaking of Itachi, Carla spoke up, which made Naruto look up to the cat and away from his work. Where is he exactly? Last I heard he was going on an S-class quest. So I'm sure it will be a week or so before we see or hear from him again. You know how that bastard is after all. Itachi is always working so hard. It makes me feel silly for taking all this time shopping instead of taking a quest. Wendy admitted, while Naruto waved the girl off. We do plenty enough, it's normal to want some time off to relax. Yeah, but we will never get Cait's shelter the recognition it deserves if we don't work hard like Itachi. Maybe we should join that guild task force the master mentioned. Naruto lifted his brow and locked eyes with the Sky Dragon Slayer. Wendy, do you realize that request is to fight and exterminate one of the 3 major dark guilds from the Balam Alliance? It's not really something geared towards your skill set as a support wizard. Hey, I've gotten stronger thanks to Itachi helping me train, but that's not the point. I know it's dangerous, which is why the other guilds might need my healing and support magic. Naruto closed his eyes and inwardly smiled, as he always admired Wendy's desire to help others. That's a fair point. But I won't be joining the Dark Guild hunt. I already have an A-class quest lined up for when I get back home. Well, I could just go by myself as our guild's representative. Wendy, that's too dangerous. If you go alone I won't be around to help you. Wendy puffed out her cheeks and gave Naruto a playful glare. I don't always need you around to protect me. Is that so? Naruto asked with a slight chuckle, while he slowly began to seal all of the boxes that Wendy had bought on their trip. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but that's all I ever do on our missions. Wendy slightly flinched, as it was common for Naruto to get her out of dangerous situations on their missions. Something she wasn't proud of, but at the same time it was something she wanted to change. You're not wrong, but it just makes me want to do this even more. I want to stand out on my own without you fighting my battles. Naruto, locking eyes with Wendy, saw the girl was quite serious and now wasn't time for his usual jokes. Instead he merely sighed and closed his eyes. Wendy, I don't mean to be overprotective or anything like that. You're just important to me and I want to keep you safe at all costs. So at times I don't let you grow as a person and fight your own battles, and for that I am sorry. Reaching out and resting a hand on Naruto's own, Wendy smiled softly. You don't have to apologize. I'm glad I have you around to always protect me, but I want to be able to protect you too. Naruto matched Wendy's smile with a large grin. I wouldn't complain to that. So you would be okay with me joining the other guild task force? Well, I'm not gonna lie and say I wouldn't worry about you, but I'm also not going to try and stop you. Naruto then paused and placed his storage seal away, while he slowly pointed to the necklace around Wendy's neck. Just promise me that if things get too intense you'll let me help. Clutching her necklace and nodding her head, Wendy gave Naruto a rather happy eye smile. I promise. Well, in that case, go make me and the guild proud. Walking slowly with a rather nervous posture, Wendy was accompanied by Carla as they made their way to the Blue Pegasus hideout to meet the other guild representatives. Yet as they walked, Carla was quickly growing rather annoyed by Wendy's behavior with the absence of Naruto, as without the blonde around to be her pillar of support, the Dragon Slayer had regressed back into her shy and meek self. Something that Carla was not going to sit by and watch happen. Wendy, stand up straight and stop looking so afraid. The small cat scolded in a harsh tone, while crossing her tiny arms. I thought you came to prove yourself and show everyone the power of Cait Shelter. I'm sorry, Carla, but I'm still really nervous, Wendy explained as her hands danced around the small necklace around her neck. An item incredibly important to Wendy, as it was a gift Naruto had made for her. Carla huffed and eyed Wendy carefully. I hope you're not thinking about calling Naruto in the middle of his missions for help. No, of course not. Well, in that case, give me your necklace. What? Why? Watching Wendy recoil back and conceal the small lacrima dangling around her neck, Carla sighed. Because I don't want you bothering Naruto on his mission if you get scared. But what if we get in danger? Naruto made this for me in case I ever needed him. Wendy, do you see? That's the problem. You're already expecting to need Naruto to come and save you, and the mission hasn't even started yet. Carla then held her tiny paw outward and made a rather stern face. So hand it over. Knowing that Carla was right, Wendy slowly untied her necklace and placed it remorsefully into the talking cat's paw. Promise you'll take care of it? Don't worry, Wendy. I know how much this means to you because Naruto made it just for you. Carla began softly, while the Dragon Slayer blushed lightly. So I'll keep it safe for you, and once the mission is over I'll give it back to you. Then you can use it to tell Naruto how well you performed on the mission. Wendy smiled wide, as she was a little giddy at the idea of getting to impress Naruto. Then I'll make sure to do my best. Well, if that's the case, let's get a move on things. You don't want to be late. Nodding her head and clutching her fists with confidence, Wendy quickly took off, running as fast as she possibly could. Meanwhile, noticing the Dragon Slayer was too fast to follow on foot with her tiny legs, Carla summoned her wings and chased after her blue-haired companion. The duo then made their way through the forest at a remarkable pace, while a large building could be seen off in the distance. We are almost there, Wendy. Feeling butterflies building in her stomach, Wendy ran up to the eloquent building and shot straight into the open doors. Unfortunately, the moment Wendy stepped inside the building, her clumsy nature got the best of her when her foot slipped from underneath her, resulting in the Sky Dragon Slayer taking an embarrassing face plant in front of every cooperating guild representative. Ouch! Wendy mumbled softly, while at the same time feeling completely embarrassed. Yet knowing she couldn't just stay laying down, she slowly began to pick herself up. However, as Wendy started to stand back onto her feet, the rest of the wizards all looked to her with a mixture of disbelief and surprise. The Blue Pegasus members were all, of course, taken back by the fact that the last member of representatives was a cute girl. Meanwhile, the members of Lamia Scale were all busy trying to gauge Wendy's capabilities by her appearance. Finally, the members of Fairy Tail were all surprised by the young girl's size and age. Considering since they heard Cait Shelter was only sending one wizard, they envisioned someone much more intimidating than a small teenage girl. One who nervously tossed her hands around before taking a bow. Hi. My name is Wendy Marvell and I'm from the Cait Shelter Guild, Wendy introduced loudly, while her nerves began to overtake her as she spoke. I know I'm young and small, but I can use a lot of support magic. So please allow me to help you all. I would be so embarrassed if you sent me home. Wendy, I swear. Carla began as the talking cat shocked everyone by flying to Wendy's side. Then with a rather annoyed face she pointed her paw up at the girl, while also ignoring everyone around her. I told you to show some backbone. What would Itachi say if he saw you acting like this? Wendy hung her head at the cat's words, but everyone else was still trying to process the sight of another cat like Happy. Whoa, she talks just like you do, Happy. Natsu commented loudly, while his blue-colored companion was busy gazing at Carla with a love-struck expression. So pretty. Happy mumbled softly, which caught the ears of Lucy. Sounds like someone is in love. The blonde celestial spirit wizard teased in a voice that mimicked the one Happy would use to tease her. Hey, don't go copying me, Lucy. Gray folded his arms and tilted his head. So this is the final wizard, huh? Urza, hearing her friends, merely smiled and approached Wendy. It would be an honor to work with you, Wendy. The Titania began before extending her hand out. I'm Urza Scarlet from Fairy Tail. Peeking up immediately, Wendy was starstruck to be standing before the infamous female wizard, who Wendy felt extremely excited and honored to be working with on this mission. Urza, it's nice. The Sky Dragon Slayer began, but quickly yelped the moment 3 members of Blue Pegasus scooped her up and placed her onto a rather large couch. What a young beauty, Hibiki declared in a flirtatious tone while he took a seat by Wendy. Do you need anything, lovely? Eve asked as the wizard was kneeling before Wendy with both hands over his heart. Hey. The voice of Ren began in a rather aloof tone, while he nudged a small drink towards Wendy without looking at her direction. It's not like I made this especially for you or anything. Blushing a deep shade of red as she was swamped by the 3 members of Blue Pegasus, Wendy didn't know how to politely tell the 3 she was uncomfortable and wanted to be left alone. Fortunately for Wendy, Carla stepped forward and cleared her tiny throat. Wendy, now is this anyway? A lady should behave, and with strange men no less. What would Naruto say if he was here? Holding her hands out in protest, Wendy gave her small cat a look of dread. It's not what it looks like, Carla. Men, that's enough. Ichiya snapped in a loud and commanding voice, which instantly caused the 3 playboys to dash before the small man. Our apologies, boss. The 3 chimed together, which earned a sweat drop from Wendy and the Fairy Tail wizards. Man, those guys are a little too much, Lucy whispered to Urza, who merely nodded. You have no idea. Hey, Gray. Natsu began softly, as he titled his head and gave Wendy a confused look. Do I know that girl? How the hell would I know, moron? I don't know, jerk, Natsu replied as the 2 began to push and shove one another. Boys. Urza began in a low yet frightening tone, behave. The fire and ice duo yelled before acting as if they were best friends. Jura, looking among the different wizards, merely cleared his throat and stepped forward. Well, since everyone is here, why don't we get down to business and discuss our plan? The wizards throughout the room turned to the wizard saint with a mixed bag of emotions. Wendy herself was a little nervous, but was still looking forward to working with everyone and making her guild proud. My big mission is finally starting. I just hope you're safe with your mission, Naruto. With Naruto standing at the entrance of a rather large and imposing stronghold, Naruto scanned his surroundings with a calculated eye. Finding the massive structure was completely unguarded, while the only thing he could see in any direction was a desolate wasteland. Yet this didn't sit well with Naruto, as this particular fortress housed a small dark guild who served directly under the Grimoire Heart Guild. Naruto believed at first that the tan-hooded cloak he was wearing slightly concealed his approach, as he was able to blend into the wasteland from afar. Yet as he removed the hood from his head and allowed his long spiky hair room to breathe, Naruto discovered that nobody was even looking for any potential intruders. Something isn't right here. Naruto began softly, as he removed his cloak and allowed it to fall onto the ground, revealing his normal attire, which consisted of the standard Konoha uniform with 2 bands on both of his sleeves, a green flak jacket and a blue forehead protector. These were gifts from Itachi, who had Naruto's clothes custom made from a tailor within Fury to mimic the style of dress a proper Konoha shinobi would wear. Of course, there were 2 key differences with Naruto's outfit compared to your regular Konoha shinobi. The first was Naruto's headband, which instead of having the symbol for his home village had the guild mark for Cait shelter, showing Naruto's guild affiliation proudly to all, since normally it was hard to see the orange guild mark he had on his shoulder. However, the second key difference was Naruto's red short-sleeved haori that had small black flames surrounding the bottom of the trim. An outfit choice that was again a gift from Itachi to emulate and honor his father. This is one of the largest dark guilds that isn't a part of the major three. So why don't I see anyone? A loud and gruff snort echoed throughout Naruto's mind. Typical human arrogance would be my guess. They probably feel safe so far out from civilization and their defenses reflect that. That would make sense, Kurama, but still everything just seems too quiet for my liking. You're just acting paranoid, brat. Itachi trained me to always observe my surroundings and be prepared for anything. I'm just taking that training to heart. You place too much stock in that Uchiha's teachings. Naruto rolled his eyes. Just because you have beef with a few Uchihas, don't take it out on Itachi. I can and I will. You know, for such a powerful beast you're quite petty. Kurama let a small gruff out. You haven't been controlled by those bastards. If you've had my track record you would hold a grudge too. Don't forget an Uchiha is responsible for my parents' death, but I still don't hold a grudge on their clan as a whole. However, that's besides the point. How should we handle our current situation? I say hand me the wheel for a minute and I'll show you why entire nations feared me. While your raw power would end this mission in an instant, killing is outlawed in this country, so I'd rather not become a criminal for your actions. I forgot this country is so boring, it's also peaceful. TCH, if you consider a country filled with a bunch of roaming cultists, slavers, monsters and demons peaceful, then yes. Naruto sighed and closed his eyes. Still beats the countless wars and conflicts our world has, especially with how destructive they are. I guess you make a point, Naruto, but enough talk. Let's get this over with. Why don't you use one of the tactics your great Uchiha mentor taught you? Smirking and making a quick hand sign, Naruto created a mob of 20 shadow clones. Take vantage points in the windows and exits. I'll create a large distraction at the main entrance to gather all the dark wizards. Then you guys can move in from the shadows and end this before it starts. Nodding their heads, Naruto's clones all moved to different spots to infiltrate the base, while the original Naruto stood before the main entrance. Then once he saw his clones were ready, Naruto brought out the palm of his hand and a large blue ball of swirling chakra began to take shape. Odama Rasengan. Naruto roared loudly as he shoved the rotating sphere into the massive main doors of the base, blowing them completely open and giving Naruto a dusty vision of the inside of the base. Your time has come, dark wizards. Naruto Namikaze is here to kick your asses, ya know. The dust settling to give Naruto clear vision allowed the blonde to see the dark wizards around him. However, Naruto was caught off guard as the individuals were not on alert or even trying to defend themselves. Instead, to Naruto's disbelief, they were already scattered around the base, completely defeated save for one individual, who was a tall and older blonde who wore a rather concealing tan cloak. Yet by far the most striking feature of the man was the lightning bolt-shaped scar on his right eye. The man, turning to look at Naruto, while he was holding a dark wizard up by the collar of their shirt, merely waved his free hand at his fellow blonde. Sorry, I already kicked their asses. Not one, but over 20 identical. Rang throughout the dark guild, while a few of Naruto's clones comically face planted into the ground from their vantage point. Looking around and watching Naruto's clones slowly disappear in random puffs of smoke, while a few gave a rather annoyed look at the man. The unfamiliar blonde let a rather small laugh escape his lips. You're quite the interesting wizard, Naruto, was it? Yeah, Naruto Namikaze. And just who the hell are you, Mr. Quest Stealer? Tossing the dark wizard in his hands onto the ground, the man fully faced Naruto with a calm expression. My name is Laxus Drayar and I didn't mean to steal your quest, kid. I was wandering around and stumbled upon them by accident. Naruto's brow twitched, as he had been hunting this particular group of dark wizards for 3 days and this guy found them by mistake. I can't let Itachi know about this. I'd never hear the end of it, Naruto thought to himself, while he eventually let a sigh escape his lips. Oh well, at least these guys were stopped. I guess I should just let this go. Laxus smirked at the younger blonde's outlook. It was a rather mature and rational way of thinking. The lighting mage even thought of a certain dragon slayer that could learn from Naruto a little bit. So I take it from the mark on your clothing you're a wizard from one of the legal guilds, but I don't recognize your guild. Laxus began, which made Naruto jerk his thumb up to the guild mark on his forehead protector. Sorta. I'm actually a shinobi of the Cait Shelter Wizard Guild. We might not be the strongest or well-known guild, but mark my words, I'll make my guild the strongest in Fury, and that's a promise. Feeling a wave of familiarity sweep over him, Laxus looked down at the younger blonde with a rather offset look. It's a good goal to have there, kid. Just don't get consumed in making your guild the strongest. Learn that a guild is much more than strength and status. Naruto grinned wide with a bright smile. I know that. After all, a guild is family first, but I want the world to know how great my family is. Laxus was surprised, while thinking Natsu wasn't the only one who could learn from this kid, since the blonde just declared a valuable lesson that Laxus learned when it was far too late. Well, I'll be waiting to see it happen then, Naruto. Chuckling and resting his hands behind his head, Naruto was starting to like this guy, despite the fact that he totally hijacked his mission. Yet before Naruto could say anything, a deep green glow started to radiate under his clothing. So reaching under his flak jacket, he slowly pulled out a lacrima crystal necklace identical to the one Wendy wore. Wendy? Naruto spoke into the glowing lacrima with confusion. Is everything okay? Naruto. The voice of Carla came through, which raised Naruto's interest. Wendy's been taken. Naruto didn't reply. He didn't make notice of Laxus, who was looking at him with slight concern, and at this point he didn't even care about the mission he was on. All Naruto knew was that his best friend was in danger, and as the blonde vanished in a flash of light, he knew he was going to save her. With the Guild Alliance, things were not going well for the Light Wizards, who set out to crush the Oración Cease Guild, as the Dark Wizards had completely outmaneuvered the alliance of light guilds through trickery and deceit, earning themselves an overwhelming victory and the prize of Wendy's capture. Yet as the wizards gathered to lick their wounds and figure out their next course of action, a secondary problem arose. Said problem was Urza Scarlet, who had been poisoned by one of the Dark Wizards' Cobra, leaving a deadly poison that was slowly killing the woman, and left a dilemma for everyone present. Would they slice off Urza's arm to save her life, as her strength would be needed to fight Oración Cease? Or would they try and find another solution to saving Urza? Yet as Gray and Leon bickered over morals and what decision they should make, a few others joined in and tried to sway the choice in one way or another. Carla was of course the outlier to this, as she knew the best choice was to save Wendy and use the girl's healing magic. However, the talking cat also knew reclaiming the girl would be a challenge, unless Carla called upon one of the strongest individuals she knew. Though as Carla held Wendy's necklace within her tiny paws, she debated on calling for Naruto, knowing she had taken this from Wendy so the girl would not use the boy as a crutch. However, with Urza and even Wendy's life on the line, Carla knew the only rational choice she could make. Wendy can save Urza, the small white-haired cat declared, which of course earned all eyes on her. She has healing magic that can easily purify the poison in Urza's body. Healing magic, Sherry gasped. Isn't that a lost magic? Lucy asked. Carla merely nodded. Yes, Wendy is the Sky Dragon Slayer. Natsu's jaw hit the floor. Wait, she's a dragon slayer? Carla puffed her cheeks out. That's what I said, wasn't it? However, all this talk is meaningless. We need to save Wendy so she can heal Urza. Jura nodded and folded his arms. Carla is right, we don't have the luxury of time on our side. So should we split up in groups? Gray asked. That would be the best chance we have. Ren spoke up. I have a better plan. Carla began, while she brought Wendy's necklace up to her face. I'll call for backup. Leon gave the cat a look of disbelief. We don't have time to sit around and wait for more wizards. You won't have to wait for this one, Carla replied as the lacrima began to glow. Wendy, Naruto's voice asked, which caused Carla to frown. Is everything okay? Naruto, Wendy has been taken. The cat revealed. Then before anyone could comprehend what happened, Naruto appeared before the group in a flash of yellow light. Teleportation magic? Ichiya mumbled, but Naruto had his full attention onto Carla. Where is she? Naruto asked almost instantly, while the small cat looked away. I don't know, she was kidnapped and taken into the forest along with the male cat. However, please help Urza first. She was poisoned and I don't know if she can survive until you rescue Wendy. Nodding and closing his eyes, Naruto made a quick hand sign and with a puff of smoke created 10 identical copies of himself. Clone magic. Jura gasped in surprise, but Naruto didn't pay any attention to the comment. Spread out and every 100 feet create 2 more clones and then disperse until you find where Wendy is. Also, if you come across any members of Oración Cease, just capture them and bring them here. Got it, boss. The clones roared before running off into the surrounding area at blinding speeds. You can't be serious. Leon began as he heard the orders the young teen gave to his clones, yet once again Naruto ignored any outside comments directed his way. Alright Urza, let me see your arm. Naruto instructed in a calm voice, while he grabbed his pen and ink. Reluctantly holding her arm out, Urza allowed Naruto to see the large purple blotch on her arm. One that was consuming her with pain. What will you do? I'm no healer like Wendy. Naruto began as he started to draw seals onto Urza's arm. But I can give a temporary solution. Within a flash of light a clone appeared by Naruto with a bound and defeated angel. Got one boss, but haven't found Wendy yet. Naruto merely nodded and kept his full attention on Urza, who along with the other wizards were giving the blonde a gaping stare. Keep looking. The clone disappearing, Gray looked at the defeated member of Oración Cis with disbelief. You had a clone beat a high-level dark wizard? Impossible. Leon added in. Clone magic is always weaker than the original user. Another flash appearing in the clearing, everyone was once again shocked to find Cobra completely unconscious and thrown to the blonde's side. This one didn't talk, but we are getting close. There is also some small fry dark wizard running around. Should we capture them too? Naruto just waved the clone off. No, prioritize finding Wendy. Roger that. The clone shouted before disappearing. Just how strong are you? Ichiya asked softly, while this unknown blonde had completely turned the tides of the situation in seconds. And just what kind of wizard are you? Jura asked, which made Naruto snort. I'm no wizard, I'm a shinobi. Naruto replied as he finished his seals and quickly activated them with a small burst of chakra, making the poison in Urza's arm receded back into the confines of the seal. And that should stop the poison from killing you, but I can't remove it. All I did was place a seal to stop it from spreading, but it will still eat away at your arm. So we need to find Wendy. Still, I feel like there is nothing wrong, Urza admitted as she began to move her arm around with ease. Naruto nodded. That's due to a seal I used to dull the sense of pain in your arm. Like I said, it's all temporary, but it's the best I can do. All the same, thank you, Urza replied sincerely. A third clone flashing in with the defeated racer, Naruto waved Urza off and looked at the newly arrived dark wizard and clone. Here is another one, boss. The clone then vanished like all the rest. No way. Natsu gasped. These guys totally kicked our asses earlier. He's taken out half of Oración Cis already, Gray added. Seriously, who is this kid? Ren asked. Carla looked at Naruto with a smug look, as she felt pride to hear the boy get the attention he deserved. Yet Naruto himself paid no mind to the other wizards around him. Instead, he merely bent down on his knee and lifted Racer up by his mohawk. Where is Wendy? Naruto asked with a hollow and empty voice, while his eyes pierced through Racer's nearly unconscious pair. Racer couldn't even speak, as Naruto pushed the man's head into the dirt. Found her. The blonde declared before vanishing in a flash of light, leaving the rest of the wizards alone with the newly captured members of Oración Cis. Okay, I'll ask what everyone is thinking. Lucy began in a frantic tone, while turning to Carla with wide eyes. What was that? That was Naruto Namikaze, one of the two strongest men I've ever met and a fellow member of Cait's shelter. Jura merely stepped forward with a rather serious face. I can believe those claims, but why have I never heard of this boy before now? Carla sighed and shook her head. Naruto likes to stick around Wendy, and that normally means the quality of his missions are fairly low, so he doesn't get a lot of recognition like he should. Meanwhile, his teacher Itachi likes to stick to the shadows and avoid anyone recognizing him. So the world really doesn't know how powerful our small guild really is. Which is a shame, since Naruto wants our guild to be recognized as the best more than almost anything. Bouncing with excitement, Natsu jumped forward. So Wendy is a dragon slayer, but what magic does Naruto use? Can I fight him? Didn't he mention that he wasn't a wizard? Gray added in. You're correct, Naruto and his teacher are from well, let's call it a far-off land. A place where there is no magic, but a power source completely different called chakra. So unlike you wizards, Naruto and Itachi don't use a single branch of magic, but instead have much more variety in their skill sets. He's impressed me, Urza admitted, which shocked her fellow fairy tale wizards. And I don't mean just by his power alone. He immediately arrived and set forth a solid plan in seconds to counterattack our enemies and locate Wendy. He's obviously well trained and mature for his age. Carla sighed and closed her eyes. You're half correct. In most scenarios Naruto is a calm and collected genius like his mentor Itachi. However, unlike Itachi, Naruto constantly lets his emotions get the better of him and cloud his judgment. Over the years Itachi has tried to iron this fault out of Naruto, but no matter what there is always one weak spot that Naruto has. It's young Wendy, isn't it? Jura asked softly, as the wizard saint could see where the cat was going. Yes, they're each other's greatest strength and greatest weakness. Wendy always relies on Naruto to save her and fix her problems, while Naruto gets completely blindsided by anything when Wendy is involved. However, they're still young and growing. So hopefully they will grow out of this phase and mature properly. Are they like? Sherry began in a low voice, while bending down to the cat's eye level. A couple? Carla rolled her eyes at the question. No, Wendy is a shy girl with a crush on Naruto despite his many talents as a dense moron when it comes to a lady's heart. Still, Urza spoke up with a small smile, while her mind went to a certain man. They're lucky to have each other. With Naruto, standing at the entrance to a rather large cave tucked behind a lake, Naruto stood before the entrance with a kunai in hand. Naruto, don't rush in recklessly and keep your wits about you. You're heading into enemy territory. Slowly inching forward, Naruto prepared himself for anything. I know Kurama. The blonde mumbled softly as he walked into the cave and looked around for any signs of a trap or hidden enemies. Yet finding nothing except for lit torches on the wall, Naruto inched forward and moved deeper into the cavern. However, as he did he began to hear voices, so moving faster Naruto came into a small chamber, where a dark wizard was clearly defeated on the ground, while an unfamiliar blue-haired man stood between Naruto and Wendy. So acting on pure instinct alone, Naruto snapped his wrist and threw his kunai at the man. Though as the blade sailed through the air, the unfamiliar man merely sidestepped Naruto's attack. However, instead of flashing to his kunai to strike, Naruto allowed the blade to reach Wendy before flashing protectively by the girl's side. Naruto! The small dragon slayer cried out in a mixture of both relief and shock. Laughing and looking the girl over, Naruto flashed a confident and reassuring smile. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Hey, who is this guy? The voice of Happy asked, which made Naruto take notice of the small blue cat. Guess that's what Carla meant by male cat, but I'm Naruto Namikaze, from the Cait Shelter Guild. Naruto then turned to the blue-haired man with a hard look. And I'm gonna kick this guy's ass. Naruto, don't! Wendy cried out, while latching onto the boy. That's Jelal. Naruto's eyes grew wide. Wait, that Jelal? Wendy merely nodded, which made Naruto grit his teeth. A few weeks ago they had heard rumors about Jelal, as his evil deeds in the Tower of Heaven had reached their ears. A revelation that had hurt Wendy greatly since she couldn't believe the boy she cherished could be responsible for such actions. Naruto on the other hand had a bone to pick with Jelal, as his deeds had hurt Wendy. You bastard! Naruto yelled loudly, while glaring at Jelal. Why did you leave Wendy? And why did you hurt all those people? She always told me how great of a person you were, but your actions broke her heart. I'll never forgive you. Naruto, please don't! Wendy cried, while she held even more tightly onto the blonde. Looking at the two young teenagers and Blue Cat with a rather blank and emotionless expression, Jelal merely turned his back. I don't know who either of you are. The former dark wizard explained as he started to retreat from the area. Wendy let Naruto go and brought a hand to her mouth, as she was almost at the point of crying. Asking why one of her most important people would say such a thing. Naruto on the other hand was pissed. He wanted to pummel Jelal into the dirt and make him beg for Wendy's forgiveness. Yet he knew there was a more pressing matter of saving Urza from her poison. Wendy, let's get out of here. Naruto began in a low voice as he stood to his feet and scooped the girl into his arms bridal style. Urza from Fairy Tail needs your healing magic. Urza is in trouble? Wendy asked, which made Naruto nod. Hey cat, hold onto my leg and I'll teleport us to everyone. Aye sir, but my name is Happy. Naruto merely nodded a second time and wasted no time flashing away back to the rest of the Light Guild Alliance. Where he Wendy and Happy appeared before a surprised group. Natsu! The blue cat yelled, as he jumped away from Naruto's side. Happy! Natsu cheered, as the duo were quickly reunited with a hug. Remarkable! Jura mumbled in amazement, while he watched Naruto hold Wendy rather protectively in his arms. To take out 3 high-level dark wizards and save a captive that fast. He's not like anything I've seen before. It makes you wonder about his mentor. Urza added in, as she has heard the bald man. These shinobi are truly frightening, Ichiya mumbled. Hey, are you okay? Naruto asked softly, while he finally got a good look at Wendy in the light of the sun. You're looking a little pale. Nodding her head, Wendy slightly bit her lip. I'm just a little drained from using my healing magic, but I should be fine to heal Urza. Stepping forward, Urza tried to make a strong front. I can wait if you need time. I don't want to place too much strain on you. Looking at the older wizard, Wendy gave the best smile she could muster with the current situation as it was. No, I'm fine Urza, I promise. You and Naruto don't have to worry about me. Alright if you say so. Naruto replied as he lowered Wendy onto the ground and joined the girl by Urza's side. Just don't overwork yourself. I'll be fine. Wendy began as she started to heal Urza's arm almost instantly, and Naruto. Yes. Lowering her head, Wendy had to fight the urge to shed a tear. I'm sorry you had to come save me. Don't apologize Wendy, me and you will always look out for one another, no matter what. Wendy felt a small amount of happiness in the blonde's words, but still it didn't help the feeling of disappointment she had within herself. Yet that feeling was suddenly halted by Urza, who rested her good arm on Wendy's shoulder. This of course made the Maiden of the Sky and Queen of Fairies lock eyes with one another. There is no need to feel disappointed in yourself Wendy. There is always room to grow and improve. The redhead then gave a small glance to Naruto. Especially when you have wonderful comrades to help you along the way. Wendy smiled at the older girl's words. Yeah, you're right. Naruto, watching the interaction between Wendy and Urza, couldn't help himself from slightly grinning, since he was starting to really like Urza for how the girl treated one of his most precious people. Yet as Naruto stood over the girls he felt a tap on his shoulder. Excuse me, Naruto. Jura began in a calm voice, while the large man towered over the blonde. Yes, sorry, I don't know your name. Naruto chuckled nervously. It's fine, you may call me Jura, but we have a pressing matter. You've managed to capture 3 members of the Oracion Cease Guild. However, there are still a few members including their master who are unaccounted for. Along with a few random dark wizards. So I would like to ask for your further assistance in catching these criminals. Naruto gave the man a thumbs up. Yeah, I'll help you guys, no problem. I actually saw someone unconscious in the same place I rescued Wendy. I think that may have been a member of Oracion Cease. It was their master brain. Happy added in, as he was listening to the conversation. Well, that's good, we know where their master is and he's been taken care of for us, Naruto announced with a smile, while Lucy stepped forward. Wait, who took out their master? It was Jelal. Happy revealed, which completely left the fairy tale wizards shocked. Wait, Jelal is alive. Natsu yelled. And he is here? Gray added in. Naruto punched the palm of his hand with a hardened expression. Yeah, and I've got a bone to pick with that jerk. Hearing these revelations, Urza was practically shaking with both anger and confusion. Yet before anyone could do or say anything, the ground started to tremble and a large black pillar of pure magical energy shot up into the sky. A sudden event that made every single person look off into the distance at the large unknown source of power. What in the hell is that? Naruto mumbled as his body instinctively took a defensive position in front of Wendy. This is bad. Hibiki gasped in disbelief, which of course made everyone turn to look at him. Someone has found Nirvana. The members of the Light Guild Alliance were all completely shocked and turned back to look at the source of magic exploding out of the earth, wondering just who was responsible for the current events that were transpiring. Naruto himself grabbed one of his kunai and gave a rather serious glare at the large magical phenomenon, while Kurama's voice echoed within his mind. Kid, I got a bad feeling about this. Yeah, me too, partner, we might have to get a little serious now. Hey, I was thinking the same thing. A few miles away, walking slowly with the intentions of returning home, Itachi merely stopped in his tracks and looked out onto the massive pillar of magical power in the distance. A sight that made the kinslayer close his eyes and continue walking forward. Never a dull moment in this world. Itachi began in a rather monotone voice, while he kept his pace at a steady speed. Let's just hope my numbskull of a student isn't involved somehow. Thanks.